In the year 2024, a group of friends, Matt, Jessica, Robert, and Laura, decided to go camping in a remote forest known for its eerie legends and mysterious stories. The forest, isolated and rarely visited, only fueled their curiosity. They had heard stories of a ghost that supposedly roamed the forest, but none of them truly believed these bedtime stories. "We'll be safe. It's just folklore," Jessica exclaimed happily as they pitched their tents by the creek. That night, sitting around the campfire, they shared fascinating stories and laughed as they enjoyed the quiet evening. "Did you guys hear that?" Laura asked in surprise, peering into the darkness. Suddenly, an eerie rustling sound was heard from deep in the woods. Matt, with a tense face, grabbed his flashlight and went to check it out. "It's just an animal," he said with a sigh of relief as he walked back to the campfire. But then they saw it. In the moonlight, a figure in white emerged from the shadows of the trees and whispered softly, "Come to me." Laura, who suffered from noctophobia, a fear of the dark, felt her heart race and her breathing quicken. The darkness seemed to close in around her, suffocating and endless. "We need to leave," she persisted, her voice barely louder than a whisper. But Robert, as if hypnotized, went toward the figure. "Robert, no!" Jessica shouted, her voice trembling with fear. But he seemed deaf to her plea, continuing his march. Matt said angrily, "Damn it, Robert, stop it!" The figure in white continued to beckon to him. Robert stepped forward, his face as impassive as a marionette's. The rest of the friends froze, paralyzed by fear and Laura's deep-seated fear of the enveloping darkness. Soon, the figure and Robert disappeared into the dark woods, further adding to the mystery of the night. The next morning, they found Robert. He lay on the ground, out of breath, strange symbols burned into his skin. Jessica, kneeling next to him, exclaimed, "My God, Robert, why? Why?" Laura added with a heavy sigh, almost shouting, "We need to get out of here, immediately!" Her noctophobia intensified. Every shadow was a potential threat. Every rustle was a fear experienced. Behind every tree or bush, there seemed to be moving shadows. They hurried out of the forest, their hearts broken. On the way home, no one spoke a word. But every night, the nightmares returned. Jessica woke up in a cold sweat, her soul scarred with fear and guilt. "I can't forget this. These nightmares. They haunt me," she said one night as she sat in the kitchen with a cup of coffee. Matt replied with determination in his eyes, "We need to tell people about this. They need to know," Laura said with a bitter smile. "But who will believe us? They'll think we're crazy." Phobias. They went back to their daily lives, but everything was the same. Every morning began with the horror of memories. Every night they went to sleep with terror. The ghost of the forest stayed with them, a chilling reminder of that horrifying night that had broken their lives. Laura's noctophobia intensified, turning every sunset into a prelude to terror. Their souls were scarred and shattered like broken glass, and no amount of time could heal those wounds. This story became not just a frightening memory, but an everlasting wound in their souls. The ghost of the forest not only took Robert's life, but also stole the peace of his friends, leaving them prisoners of eternal fear and pain. Every time they remembered that night, they felt the cold touch of terror, as if the ghost was still around. That hike turned into one of the worst nighttime mysteries, a true horror story for the ages, a real nightmare they could never forget. Laura, in particular, was haunted by noctophobia, reminded every night of the darkness that had consumed Robert. The ghost not only haunted the forest, but settled in their minds, turning their lives into an endless night of fear.